Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, How to Emerge from COVID Extra Media. I'm Dan McDonald with Baxter, and today is Tuesday, April 7th. Now, just before we get into things, I'd like to let all the viewers know that if you have any questions at all during this webinar, just type them into the Q&A box found in your Zoom toolbar, and those questions will be answered in due time. Presenting for us today for Neil, CEO of Truth and Dare. Hi, Jennifer. Thanks so much for being here.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. So since you're already on webcam for us, feel free to get into things whenever you're ready.
Okay, I can hear things breaking up just a little bit to start. Can you hear me clearly?
I can. Maybe that's an internet connection problem on my end, but I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, excellent. Well, welcome everybody. I'm Jennifer from Truth and Dare. Truth and Dare is a 20-year strong brand strategy, design, and marketing agency. And I'm happy to say that, you know, we've seen our fair share of recessions in the past, 2001, 9/11, then again in 2008 with the real estate crash. And here we go with number 3. So, you know, I firstly just want to say, I hope everyone's happy as can be and as healthy as can be. And I just want to start off by saying that you know, everyone says, I've never seen anything like this. I've never seen anything like this. But every other time, we didn't think that we'd seen that before either. So I'm not going to spend too much time talking about the current state of affairs. I tend to be a very positive and optimistic person. And so you're going to get that side of me today. So over the next little while, I'm going to share with you some ideas about how we can help, how we can provide hope, and how we can come out of this stronger, because I really do believe that we can. I know the audience is varied today. We have everybody from potentially a CEO right to someone that's right on the front lines in a desk as an agent. So I'm going to do my best to cover macro information and micro information. And I hope there's some ideas in here that you can see relevancy to be able to take into your market. So I'm going to share my screen, and just bear with me 2 seconds. Okay. Can we see this?
There we go.
Is that good? Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So, you know, recessions are not a great thing, obviously, for any of us in business. We don't like them. We know they're coming. They've been forecasting this one for some time, not knowing when it was going to hit, and it's hit. But I believe it's not the end of the world. In fact, I believe that we can emerge better, stronger, and faster if we do some smart things during the time that we have. So today we're going to talk about how you can grow your audience. I believe there are some really smart ways you can be growing your audience, growing your prospect lists, growing your customer base when we come out of this. We're going to talk about some content creation, which is a great way for you to spend your time and your budgets if you have any right now. We're going to talk about that. Some topics to stay away from right now, and some topics to exaggerate. Again, we will be talking high level, but I've also really got some very specific ideas for you, that what you can implement tomorrow, today. So I hope that we'll be able to help everybody from, you know, the leaders down to the brand managers, operators, and every single one of you that's running an agency desk. You have your own brand too. So there's a lot we can be doing at the corporate level, and there's a lot we can be doing at the individual level. And I'm going to speak about all of those. You know, travel, an interesting statistic that I got from a new friend yesterday, Frederic, big shout out to you. I know you're on here, from George Brown College. And he told me that travel has a 10% GDP worldwide, which is unbelievable. Obviously, there's going to be a massive uptick / effect from the fact that travel is effectively shut down right now. So that's a massive statistic for us to be aware of. And the bad news out there, the news we're watching, is eroding confidence So any confidence that we may have had, it's going down daily, every day, and it's going to continue to do so until I think we start to see some upturn. And I don't know when that's going to be, and you don't know when that's going to be, but we have a big job ahead of us as marketers and as leaders and as people that are still interested in providing value to our customers. We have a big job. And the good news is that people are consuming content like crazy right now. They're signing up for webinars like this. They are watching their social feeds like crazy. They're reading at rates that are unbelievably huge. So now is the time to grab what I call eyeball abundance. And just to prove to you that this is possible, I ramped up all of my content over the past 2 weeks, and my LinkedIn profile views are up 200% during this time. So if you take one thing away, and I'm going to say that a few times, but if you take one thing away from this presentation, you have an opportunity to grab eyeballs right now and grab market share. So we're going to talk about how to do that. So it's time to step up, come out. If you haven't done this before, now is the perfect time. Be seen and build your brand. It's important to remember that all crises do come to an end. And, you know, unfortunately, travel has been a facilitator in how we got to where we are today, obviously by no one's fault, but we know the virus is spreading because of travel. So I think travel is probably going to change drastically between now and when we get back up again. Just like 9/11 changed all of the security procedures and the check-in procedures, I think we're going to see a lot more of that coming down the pipeline from a health and wellness perspective. Again, I don't know what it looks like, but you know, I think we have an opportunity right now to question what we're building and to question what we leave behind. Some of the verticals and industries within travel have had a not so great reputation. Maybe it's the time right now to clean up some of those reputations in terms of how green we are, how we treat our people, how we pay our people, and generally how much we care about our customers beyond the dollars. Because I know that's why we're in business, but sentiment is changing, and it's changing fast. So I do think we have an opportunity to leave more behind going forward than we have in the past. I believe 70% of us will emerge from this, which means 30% of us will not make it through this. That's my stat. It's just kind of where my head is at. But I do know that 98% of us will do nothing. We'll do the same things. We might not do anything at all. And we might think that just by staying the course that this will be okay. But I challenge you that for the 2% of you that will look at this differently and will do something different, you will come out ahead and you will come out as leaders. You know, good things come out of quarantine, and they have in the past. I just think this is a good news slide. The electric razor was invented by a man during the Depression that didn't want to shave in Alaska because he was so cold. So he invented, Mr. Schick invented the electric razor. Yeah, I'm going to say it, the tampon. It was invented during Depression by a man. And the car radio started out by two brothers in their cars with their girlfriends, and they wanted to listen to music as they were overlooking the cliff. And so Motorola was invented during a recession. And there's a few others here you can see. Shakespeare wrote King Lear during, I believe it was the bubonic plague. There's a lot of opportunity. And I saw another statistic that in 2009, 50% of the companies that were on the Fortune 500 were built during a bear market or during a recession. So, you know, there's an unbelievable opportunity for us right now to make good time of this. Great quote from the Harvard Business Review: building and maintaining strong brands, ones that customers recognize and trust, two great words, they remain one of the best ways to reduce business risk. So let's talk about that. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about going back to basics. This is really a Marketing 101, time for Marketing 101, where we ask ourselves three questions as marketers. who are the customers that will drive our growth? And I'm talking about the customers that will drive our growth as we come out of this. We don't have customers right now, at least not a lot of us, particularly in the travel industry. So we need to start thinking about who they will be when we emerge. And what will get them to buy? Because they will buy again. What will the brand message be that you send out and that you prepare? And uniquely, what is your point of view? You know, we have a bunch of different agencies, a bunch of different flight options, a bunch of different cruise options. How are we going to get them to cruise, to fly, to plan, and engage with us? And I believe it will be your unique point of view. In other words, what is your take on those things? And you might need to pivot it right now. You might need to look at that strategy going forward. And then, of course, how will we connect with them at the right time with the right message? Will we be ready when they come out of this downturn? Now, this chart is really interesting to me. It also came out of the Harvard Business Review, a really great article on how to market during a recession. I'd be happy to share it with you if anybody wants a copy. There's some really great info in here, but it basically talks about 4 different target audiences. The first group are going to slam on the brakes. These guys are, you know, probably already living paycheck to paycheck. They're going to eliminate, postpone, decrease, or substitute their spending. So I think we're going to see a lot of these guys. The next group are the pained but patient. These are a more resilient group. They have a lot of optimism. They're going to economize, but they will still buy. But the more bad news we get, they will very quickly turn into the slam on the brakes group. And then we have the comfortably well off. These are your 3%ers, your 5%ers. They're either retired already with a fixed income, or they've got passive income coming in. They've got low risk savings and investments going on. And they have savings that they can tap into. So it's another really interesting group to watch as we come out of this. This chart gives you some really great ways to get back in front of them when you understand who that market is. And then you've got your live for today. These generally are our millennial group. They are kind of carrying on as usual. It'll be interesting to see what happens with this group, but this is a really interesting chart that can help you tailor your message when you're ready. You know, again, just really critical to be tracking where your customers are right now, how they're going to reassess their priorities, reallocate their funds, and they will switch brands. So that's why it's so very important for you to be aware of your messaging and how you market over the next 6 months to a year and maybe beyond that. Let's think about what our customers have, you know, the problems they have right now. They're stuck at home. They wish they could travel. I had a trip in the works, which obviously is not going to happen now. This is all gone. So again, going back to Marketing 101, how can we help them? How can we stay relevant to them in front of their eyeballs right now? You can't sell to them. We're in a complete lockdown from a travel perspective. You can't fulfill anything that you could sell. You don't know when this is coming back, but you sure can market. So what are some of the things we can do to market to them right now? Well, you can certainly entertain them. And let me preface all of this by saying we're not going to do any of this as being tone deaf. Tone deaf would be to sell right now. But being careful and cautious and very realistic about what they want and need right now. I'm sure you've seen the jokes flying around. Everyone needs something to laugh at. So maybe we can entertain them. Maybe we can fill them full of aspirations. Maybe we can be funny and light. You know, travel is inspiring. We all are looking for our next trip to go on and have bucket lists of things that we want to experience and do. Travel is a very inspiring topic. So I think there's a lot there for you guys. You know, you can come up with great campaigns and posts and messages. And don't think you need a budget to do this, because you do not. You can do this by yourself. And we'll get into that in a few minutes. You know, you can create a new content strategy. I had a content strategy last week that I've completely changed this week because it's the time to change. And people are more prepared to listen to you now than ever before. You know, you can take them behind the scenes of the business. I often remember my favorite scene in the Titanic was when they went down below into the engine room and they showed us the cargo hold. You know, maybe there's an opportunity for you to show us what's in the cargo holds. You might think it's not the sexiest part of your business, but I'm particularly very interested in it. And I bet you there's a lot of people are. So maybe there are opportunities to take us under the belly, under the radar, what we don't see from our airline seat or from our cruise deck. What can you show us that's new and interesting and people just might love to see right now? And you know, you can tell them that you miss them and that you can't wait to have them back. And that's a beautiful segue into an example I'd like to share with you from the Chelsea Hotel. Now, full disclaimer, the Chelsea Hotel just happens to be one of our loved and dear clients for almost 8 years. And so I just wanted to share this post with you that they did internally. Desha did this, the head of marketing did it herself. And I think it's just beautiful. What you don't know or maybe don't know about the Chelsea is it's the largest hotel in Canada. They have 1,600 rooms to fill every night. And obviously we're all challenged right now, but they have a kid zone that has real bunnies in it. And so she posted this beautiful, lovely post of one of the bunnies just saying that they miss their audience, which happened to be largely made up of families, and that the bunnies can't wait to see them again. And then we created these free downloadable coloring sheets that, you know, talk about the fun zone and the family fun zone, but it's a really fun way, a light way to stay under your customer's nose. I think that Desha did a great job with this. And so a really great example of how to keep things light and yet relative to your audience right now. I also reached out to Desha and asked her what else they're doing. And she shared this with me, and I share this with you with her permission. You know, they're doing their best to keep everyone informed about the current situation. They are building a relaunch strategy, which I'm absolutely thrilled about. It's a great time to come out with something new after this. They're updating all of their standard operating procedures, their training manuals, all of their organizational materials, getting that all tidied up and ready for a relaunch. And obviously they're keeping their eye on critical properties, the market and the industry results, and they're just watching like crazy to see when that uptick happens so that they can be ready with relevant messaging when it happens. This is not travel specific, but I love this idea. I think a lot of you could do this if you're larger brands, even smaller brands, but running a contest does have its legal and administrative intricacies. So this is a contest that came up in my Instagram feed from Canada Dry Ginger Ale, the first week of the virus, the shutdown. And what I love about this is, first of all, they're running a contest, so it's free. They're getting in front of your face. So 2, they're giving away a home theater system. So relevant for today because we're all at home and we're all watching TV and Netflix and whatnot. So who wouldn't want a brand new home theater system? And 4, they are building their list like crazy. So anyone that enters that contest obviously becomes someone that they can add to their list and they can market to in the future. I love this idea. I think this contest idea could be relevant, as I say, particularly for some of the larger brands. You know, maybe you give away a trip. I don't pretend to know the intricacies, but you know, just brainstorming with you. Maybe you give away a trip. Maybe you give away a cruise. Maybe you give away a package. Maybe you give away a tour. Maybe you plan someone's trip as a winner through the contest. I don't know what that looks like, but I think contesting is a really great thing that you can be doing right now. Again, not travel related, but I love this ad from Bed Bath & Beyond that came up in my Instagram feed because it acknowledges the times. First of all, they're talking about trimming budget. People are trimming budget like crazy right now, but they're still buying. Like, I'm sure you know people that are going out and buying bread machines and buying food processors because they're all cooking at home. So this ad acknowledges the trim on budget. It then acknowledges that they have the brands that you love and then it gives you a 20% off coupon. So again, I know you can't sell right now, but can you think about how this might be relevant for you when we start to be able to sell again? I love that it's sensitive to the times. I love that it gives you several options on budgeting and discounting. I really think this is quite on point for the times. This was the first week of the shutdown. This guy owns a shop in Lake Tahoe. So obviously you can tell that a lot of his business comes from the tourism industry. And so he put a shout out to the community and said he was in trouble. You know, very vulnerable thing to do. Again, I think vulnerability is going to win the race right now, really bearing our soul and our hearts. And so in 4 days, he sold $75,000 worth of gift cards because the community wanted to keep him afloat. So again, may or may not be relevant, but I think it's a really good example of how your community will generally rally around you if you've built up a good brand and reputation and need that help. So I love this because it's it's a shop owner in an area of tourism. Again, this is a great ad from Burrell King. This came up in my LinkedIn feed. They know everyone's cooking from home. They're talking about what people are doing from home. And so they're suggesting that you make it your favorite restaurant. And obviously, by the way, Burrell King is right there to help you with barbecues. So they're not shoving anything down your throat. They're not trying to sell you anything. They're just making an obvious insight about what's going on right now, but they want their brand under your nose as you do it. So, you know, I think about your industry and what could you be doing? People could be doing from home. They can be planning their next trip. They can be dreaming about their next trip. They can be looking for restaurants and tours and places to stay during their next trip. So I really think there's something relevant here for all of us. Try not to look so much at whether or not it's travel specific. Try to look at it outside of the box a little bit and how that might be relevant for you. I saw this on Baxter's feed. Big shout out to Baxter. You are doing a fabulous job. I'm so thankful that you asked us to come today. I really do believe you're leaders in this field, so keep up the good work. So I loved this feed that came out on my LinkedIn profile, and it talked about how Celebrity Cruises couldn't launch and deliver their cruise ship in real time, in reality, so they did it via video conference. And I love this idea because they used creativity, they used technology, and they used innovation to continue on with business and to bring this out to their audience and to their customers. So, you know, again, this is going to come back. So how do we stay relevant in front of them right now? I also put this one in, and I like this. This came from Lowe's, Lowe's, you know, builders. And the reason I like this ad is because, you know, they're encouraging people to go out and build signs to encourage and thank the frontline responders that are out there working so hard for us right now. But they didn't ask them to buy anything. They asked them to go into their basements and into their cupboards and to, you know, find what they could at home and do a DIY project to do this. So I love this because they're encouraging people to give back. They're encouraging people to get involved, but they did not ask them to buy anything. They just want their brand under people's noses in a really relevant and respectful way. So I thought that was of interest to bring up to you. I believe that this is an opportunity for the rejuvenation of the travel agent industry. If we've seen one thing happen over the past 2 weeks, we've seen people trapped in places all around the world where they can't get home because they didn't use an agent. And I'm not bucking any other booking mechanism, but what I am saying is I believe this could be a huge opportunity for agents to have a resurgence and become relevant in an even more massive way. You are advisors. You know the deal. You're used to working with risk management, and you're used to working and reassuring people and giving them tips and giving them tricks. And I really think that we can see a comeback to a travel agent. So, that whole idea of taking care of people and reassuring them of their decisions and being there for them if they need to make a call while they're on their trip, or something's happened or something didn't work out right. I really think there's a huge role for agents to play right now in this world. So a massive opportunity for agents and for agent brands to look at how they come back in a much more relevant way when this is over, because people are going to be worried booking travel going forward. Not everybody, of course, but I think there's an opportunity for that whole concierge approach to come back again. And you guys have the keys to that. I was in the middle of booking a trip to take my two kids on milestone birthday trips to London and Paris, actually, just before this started. And I was working with an agent, and we were working on an itinerary. And then, of course, all of this business started, and we can't do anything. But I was thinking to myself, if I was an agent right now, what would I do? There's a tendency to think that because the travel isn't moving forward, that our hands are tied. Absolutely not. So I did a very quick search, and this is the first thing that came up in Google when I searched Instagram. I can't remember what I searched, but it was something like Instagrammable opportunities for my teenagers. So I don't know if you have teenagers or not, but they will go, like when we went to New York City, they took me to the wildest places in that city because they wanted to take their picture by those angel arms. These teenagers have a completely different way of traveling than we do. So I thought, if I was an agent, why don't I just say, Jennifer, I know that your trip is sidelined right now, and I know you wanted to bring this to your children, but when it comes back and when we can travel again, these are a few really great places in London, England, that I think your kids might love, because they'll get to post it on their Instagram story. And then, again, I did another really quick search on the most popular tourist hotspots in London. Some of them, obviously, I knew about, but I'd never thought about going to the Canary Wharf. So again, another really great way for an agent to reach out and say, Jennifer, I know what your itinerary is, but you might want to just check out Canary Wharf. Keep these things in mind. I know this trip will come back, but really great ways to get under your clients' noses right now when you can't sell to them. And you can make up your own lists. What is your list? What is your brand's list? What's different and unique to you? Maybe it's restaurants. Maybe it's beaches. I don't know, but we have a massive opportunity to do things like this right now, especially if we're an agent and even if we're not. So a couple of ideas there just for agents. So then I thought, well, if I was a CEO and I do lead a company or a leader, like, how could I be helping my audience right now? Again, I think that CEOs have an opportunity to share more of themselves right now with the world. As obviously being brand relevant, but people want to get to know you. So, share your life if you're prepared to. Share your travel photos, share your memories and your favorite trips and your favorite beaches, and, share your secrets. I say, like, you guys have the best information on the little places that we don't know about. Maybe it's time to get in front of a camera and share that. And I know that will scare you. I know it will scare you. But, if this thing doesn't scare you, I don't know what will. It's time to change and to get creative and clever. Maybe you could help us figure out how you would plan a trip or what you take into consideration. It's a great time to launch a Pinterest account or an Instagram account if you haven't already done so. Lots of people are finding where they want to go through Instagram and Pinterest. We went to Portugal 2 years ago, and we hit every beach in Portugal I wanted to go to, and I found them all on Pinterest. So don't overlook these platforms, because they're a massive opportunity for you there. Share your staff's holidays, share your staff's picks. Kind of like when you go into Indigo and you've got Heather's pick, why not have a staff pick of a favorite place or restaurant or beach around the world? interview them, engage with them, and put them on camera if they're prepared to do that. I think it's a really interesting way for you to be relevant, creative, and personable. And of course, I really encourage video right now. Video is deep, rich content. People love to watch it. They would rather watch a video than read. And we all know with the onset of the Alexas of the world, we're going to a video and voice world. So the sooner you can get used to that and get into that, you'll be ahead of the game as well. I just put a few examples in here of CEOs or leaders or ambassadors that are kind of taking to video. I won't share them now just because we'll run too long, but this is the ambassador for A&W, and his name is Alan Lulu, and he went on camera at the beginning of the week out on Twitter, and he did a really lovely, endearing message to his staff, to the workers, to the suppliers, and to the frontline workers, and just thanked them. You know, he's in a black t-shirt, he's got an A&W sticker on the wall, and I just think it's a really lovely message, so maybe check that out. I wanted to give a big shout out to David McClung from Baxter. We talked about getting on camera and he did it, and I just say good for you, David. I love the fact that he starts the video out by using the word bonkers. You know, he brought himself to it, and he also reminded the audience about how they're supporting their clients during this time. So check out David's message, really easy to find on the Baxter website and in their LinkedIn social channels. So check it out because I think he did a really great job. And I also wanted to give a huge shout out to Jamaica. I went on Jamaica's website when I was preparing for this. And again, I'm not going to run it for you, but if you haven't seen their homepage, this pops up on their homepage right when you visit their site. And I just love the tone. I think you did a great job. It's beautifully inspiring about the times that we're in and the fact that they are so looking forward to you coming back when this is all over. I think the tone was absolutely spot on. I think you did a great job. So a big shout out to Jamaica. You know, very quickly, this is a time to clean up your product line. Go through every single product that you've got right now and cut the ones that don't make money. Cut them right out. And the ones that are making money, amp those ones up. Go in with a surgeon's knife and make sure that that product lineup that you come out with after this is over is stellar. You know, it's an opportunity for us all to improve affordability. We're going to start seeing more bundling of packages. If you're not bundling, maybe start bundling. We're going to see smaller quantities. You know, like makes me mad when I go and buy a pound of butter and it's not a pound anymore. But, you know, this is how they make things remain affordable. They cut portions. So how can you cut portions, or maybe a tour off of one of the trips? I don't know what that looks like, but it's a time to look at how we can create better deals for people when they come back, because they will be looking for good deals. And, you know, we all have an opportunity here to bolster trust. The messages that come out, kind of like Jamaica's and David's, where, you know, we will come out of this and reassure them, these are the messages that will resonate with your audience after this is all over. And the brands that they trust will be the ones that they buy from. And the ones that they trust will be the ones that they will pay for. So cost cutting is going to happen all the time, but the more trusted your brand is, the more you'll be able to maintain and keep your pricing. And, you know, just start looking at positioning for recovery. It's going to look different. We have to think about how that customer will emerge. They will emerge differently. We need to watch them very carefully and see how we can be relevant to them when this is all over. So I got asked this question. I thought I'd throw it in. What do I do with my ad budget right now if my I've got the budget still? You know, people are going to be hanging on like crazy, but if you still have marketing budget and ad budget, I would be throwing it into freelancers to help you produce more content, more articles. I would be, again, ramping up your social feeds like crazy. Social media is free, my friends. It is free. You can always choose to boost your posts and to run paid campaigns, but it is free. So, you know, if you have some budget, throw it into your social media right now. And I can almost guarantee you will earn eyeballs, and you could earn market share. And, looking at producing things at home, how can you produce from home? What can you produce from home? It's free. We hit record on this. This will be free. How can you be producing from home? Don't worry so much about production value right now. People are looking for authentic messages. And I think that's something we can be doing right now as well. So, if you remember 4 things from this presentation, it would be this. Increase your marketing. And if you think you're doing a lot, double it up if you can. Find a way, just get that marketing going. Again, in tasteful ways, make sure you're relevant, but ramp it up right now. People are really uncertain and afraid, and they want a plan. So if you can help them with a plan forward, and even if the plan forward is just inspiration, then I would encourage you to do that. Look at anything that's possible for your brand right now. Yesterday, I spoke with a client and we talked about, is it time to move to an app? We've talked about things like starting up video. We've talked about things like cutting some products. Whatever makes sense right now, now's the time to do it. It's the time to innovate. And above all else, let's find some authenticity and some care in our messages. There's a lot of really crappy stuff going on. People are really affected by this from a health perspective and from a business perspective. And how can we show our authenticity and care as we go out there as marketers? So, I just added this quote at the end because this is a massive brand consultant in the world of brand and media. And he hits the head right on the nail. We need the right tone to strike. If you need some help, reach out to anybody that I'm happy to help you. And it's changing week by week. So as you notice, some things that were relevant in the first week are maybe not as relevant in the second week. It's going to change day by day. So just make sure that when you send your message out, it's right for today. And I think that's all we can do right now. So lots of ideas, lots of things to share, lots of innovation out there for all of you. I hope there were some helpful tips. I hope you saw some examples that you can maybe dovetail a bit to fit your business. So I'm happy to take questions if there are any. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. That was fantastic. So a number of people have asked for the marketing chart from Harvard.
No problem.
So if you like, you can send that to me after this webinar, and I can distribute it to anyone. Elizabeth says, I stay in touch with my clients by sending them thinking of you cards, and I can't wait to start traveling together again. Thank you so much for that, Liz.
I love that. I thought about postcards. The challenge, when you're in the B2C market, that's a lot easier because you have their home address. B2B is tougher because no one's at work. But I love that idea.
I do too. That's great. And Christina asked, is this webinar being recorded and will it be available? Great information. Yes, definitely, Christina. So I'll be sending a recording of today's webinar. I'll be sending it to everyone that registered, and I'll be sending it by tomorrow morning at the latest, assuming a Zoom processes the recording quickly. I'll be able to distribute that to everyone even later today. And a boost PPT, right? The PowerPoint. So what I'll do there is distribute the video to everyone, and then scroll through it yourself. But I'll let Jennifer decide if she wants to distribute the PowerPoint.
It's actually
marketing. If you have to do more, and do you mean paid advertising?
Sorry, what's the question?
You said increase your marketing. If you think you're doing enough, do more. Do you mean paid advertising by that?
Well, if you can afford paid advertising, sure. But the paid advertising helps you to get your message to more eyeballs that are just on your organic channels. But many people don't have the budgets right now. So what I would say is, if you're doing one post a day, do two. And if you're doing one post a week, do three. So, marketing doesn't have to be paid for. You can up your marketing by doing your own videos in home. That's great content. So it doesn't have to be paid for, but I would just encourage you to do more.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely. Abu says, "Thank you, well done and very inspiring."
Good, I'm glad. Thank you. I just wanted to also say, I'm happy to jump on a call with anybody for 30 minutes. You wouldn't believe some of the things that we have accomplished in a 30-minute phone call, but we're happy to jump on a strategy call with anybody from this webinar, and Baxter can hook you up with that as well. So that's available to everybody on this call.
Oh, definitely. That's what Linda just submitted to the chat box, and she said, "How do we reach you?"
Yeah, no problem. I'll put that at the end of the presentation as well.
Oh, excellent. Yeah. Oh, that's perfect. That's great. And Giselle says, "This was very helpful and insightful information."
Oh, good. Thank you so much. I'm glad.
Thank you, Jennifer. There are a few more submissions here. Let's see. Oh yeah, Steve says, "Can you please send the Harvard model by email?" Definitely, Steve. So I will include that in the email I send to everybody. That includes the webinar recording. I'll include the chart in that email to everybody.
Yeah, that's a great article.
We have some thank you messages, and let's see. Christine says, "Is print/newspaper advertising worth it if we have very few dollars?"
That's a tricky question. I think we're going to see print come back in a massive way. That's kind of outside of what's going on right now. Just like records are coming back, I think we're going to see a lot of analog come back and a lot of print come back and direct mail come back. What I would say about print is, though, make sure that you have enough budget to go for more than one ad, because like anything, we need to see things over and over again. So I think I'm a massive print lover. We spent the first 10 years of our career doing print and publication design. Massive. I just think you might need a strategy around that. And I'm happy to jump on a call with you about that as well.
Amazing. Thanks, Jennifer. And Christine says again, let's see, Facebook paid posts as opposed to newspaper ads. What is best to stay top of mind?
Well, I think you need to think about where the eyeballs are right now. And the eyeballs are on people's phones and on their laptops. So I would encourage you to think about, again, I don't know who that's coming from. I'm not sure what size the brand is. It sounds like it might be a bigger brand if they're thinking about doing newspaper advertisement. An integrated strategy always works, of course. Digital marketing is cheaper, but depending on the specific situation, I'd say both might be relevant. It might depend. Again, I'd be happy to jump on a call. But everybody's on their phones right now and on their computers. I kind of laugh. Anyone that laughed at a digital marketer back in 2006 and thought they were hokey, well, they've left us in the dust. They're multi-cajillionaires now, So this is where the mind share is. But strategy
Absolutely
matters a lot.
Oh, definitely. And Mark Eicher submitted to the chat box here. He said, also, if you work with your printing partners, they might be able to help all the pricing.
For sure. I think we're going to see a lot of I don't want to use the word discounting, but I think we're going to see a lot of helping. They're going to want to help you because they want the sale too. So I think we're going to see a lot of that.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, absolutely. And Steve says, "This is one of the best presentations I've been on in a long time. Thank you."
Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad it helped.
And then we have an interesting question from Mark here. He says, is social media the be all for getting the message out? Why I ask is for the people who are not on any social media. How can one reach them? If someone is not on LinkedIn, they would not have known about this.
Good point. Great question. That's why it's really important to build your audience. So I'll tell you, one of the things I do every day is I go into LinkedIn and I invite new people to connect with me. So, I'm going after leaders of business and people that are interested in making sure that they are relevant to their, what I was going to say is irrelevant, making their competitors irrelevant. So I'm talking to leaders and CEOs. So I will reach out at least 25 a day and I ask them to connect with me. And then you can either just send a connect or you can send a note. I'm sure everyone's familiar with this. And I just say something like, really tough times right now, would love to connect with you. Let's stay in touch. We're all in this together, Jennifer. And I send that. So if they accept my request, I've got one more set of eyeballs on what I want to say. And when I have a message or a promotion or an advertisement or something, a new product or service, I've got more eyeballs now looking on it. So I still think that even if they're not on social media right now, you can do things to encourage them to get on social media and to get on your platform. As my LinkedIn profiles have increased, I'm also noticing my Instagram page followers are increasing. They'll go check you out. They will.
Definitely. And Carol says, many thanks. I would like to book a 30-minute session.
No problem.
That's right, Carol. So Jennifer can show her contact info just at the tail end of this webinar. Let's see. So we have 3 more questions here. Are you okay reading these out, Jennifer?
Yeah.
Great. We definitely have time on the call. So let's see. Gilda says, with so many of us using web meetings and web chat, the quality, because of the huge amount in increase in use, has been sketchy sometimes recently with quality and ability. Do you have a recommendation on platform? This is Carl. I've joined for Celebrity, and thanks for including the Apex story from our CEO, Lisa. That's great. Thanks, Carl.
I'm not in the meeting business, so I can't comment on that. I use a platform personally before all this started called Ring Central. Ring Central actually, I believe, has been bought by Zoom, but I think it still operates as a separate sub-brand. And when I'm on those calls, I don't tend to have the same difficulty. But I think there's just so much usage right now. The surge has gone through the roof. So I don't know whether that helps, but we're all struggling with that a little bit.
And then next up, Carrie says, this has been one of the best webinars I've seen on these crazy times. It's been so difficult to deal with all the cancellations and delivering bad/hard news to our clients. I'm a TA, which is so mentally discouraging. And this webinar is inspiring me to keep going, to get through the hard tasks the best I can, and then to get to tangible things I can do to move my business forward. That's great. Thank you, Carrie Lynn.
Good for you, Carrie Lynn. Thank you.
Absolutely. Good for you. Let's see. Christine says, we can't ask clients to connect on LinkedIn when they are not on it. LinkedIn is not my tour operator, in brackets, market. Is it worth it to connect with suppliers, hotels, attractions, restaurants, etc.?
Yes. But if LinkedIn is not where your audience is, where is your audience? I bet you any money, and again, I might be specific, but I bet you any money they're either on Facebook or on Instagram, and there are ways to, creating great content is a way to get under people's noses. Obviously, if there's a budget behind it, you can actually start to go after demographic groups. You can get very sophisticated. For example, I only want people within a 5-kilometer radius of me that are making more than $150,000 a year, that are female, that have children, that you know, you can get really specific in some of those ad buys, probably a longer discussion, but your customers might not be on LinkedIn, but they are on something, and I would figure out where they are.
That's great advice. Yeah, definitely. And then we just have a couple more thank you messages, and 2 more people who would like to book a 30-minute call. Lots of requests for that.
Yeah, no problem. I'm happy to help.
And that looks like it for the submitted questions. Well, thank you so much, Jennifer. I want to thank you for this fantastic presentation today. And I will, I also want to thank everyone that tuned into the webinar today. Thank you all so much for taking time out of your day. It was great having you all here. And we have a couple more thank you messages popping up in the chat box here. That's fantastic. And you're right, Jennifer, I see that you've gone back into your screen share. So I will
going to share this final page. That's where you can find us.
Great. Oh, that's excellent. Okay, so I will leave that up on the screen there. We'll just leave that up for a couple minutes. So people, there's the Instagram, Facebook, we have the Truth and Dare website, and then we have Jennifer's email address. So please make a note of that. That's just being displayed on the screen right now. Oh, and Christine says, thanks so much. Please keep this upbeat. Please keep these upbeat, informative webinars coming. Show us that there is a light at the end of this.
There is, I promise you.
That's great. Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. Okay, so yeah, the contact info is there up on the screen. If you've stepped away from your computer or you had to go to take a call or anything like that, not to worry. I'll be sending the recording of this webinar to everybody later today. So to get the contact info, all you have to do is scroll forward to the end of it, because that's where it will be. Okay, thank you so much, Jennifer. Hope you have a fantastic day, and thank you so much again for presenting for us.
Thank you. Be well, everybody.
Take care, everybody. Stay safe and stay healthy. Bye-bye.